Hi, hello. I went to G-Fest, the kaiju convention, this year. If you were there, then no, I was not the guy in the Zeton hoodie, though I wish I owned that. It was pretty cool. This is going to be a largely unscripted video, but I do have some notes that I wrote while I was attending, and I also took plenty of pictures and camera footage, so I have visual aid. It's going to be a little messy, but I'm going to start from the beginning on... So this was the first G-Fest since 2019 because of, that little bug you might have heard going around. In fact, I was still pretty cautious during this event, so I wore a mask the entire time, and I was also fully vaxxed at this point. Also, my friend Potato Zuli was with me for this adventure, and very unfortunately, Boom Mage wanted to go, but he couldn't because he got COVID at the last minute. It really sucks that he couldn't be here, but I do appreciate his agency in not wanting to infect other people. So before we got to G-Fest, we stopped at one of many gas stations, and this one was selling katanas, including Nero's sword from the Devil May Cry series. So the con took place at a different venue this year. It took place at the Hyatt Regency instead of the Crown Plaza like in 2018 and 2019.
This place is amazing. I had no idea where the international level was.
So first off, it felt like a labyrinth and it was really hard to just find where you needed to go. There was some initial confusion regarding registration, whether a pre-registered name badge only applied for Friday or the whole weekend, and there was some weird signage so it wasn't entirely clear, but I got my badge just fine. Then I ate a Minya cheeseburger. It was edible. It reminded me of cafeteria food. It cost $10 for some reason. Then I went to the dealer's room and came out with this haul for the first day. The bootleg DVD guy wasn't trying to get me to buy Ultraman Cosmos this year, so that's a step up. Then I went down again and someone brought their pig to the convention. I eventually got to pet it on the third day. Is it okay if I pet him?
Absolutely.
Sure. Hey there, guy. Whoa.
He said there's goodies in that bag.
Then I went to the sculpture room and saw some pretty amazing sculptures. The talent here is incredible. So it turns out the director of Dragon Lizard Lords showed up and confirmed everything Astounding and I figured out about that movie.
There were a bunch of shorts and then trying to light a Gamera Super Monster where they took all the Gamera movies and put them into one Super Monster film. That's kind of how we got Dragon Lizard Lords Super Monster.
And yeah, I'll talk about this in another video.
Nidhogg will become the new Tiamat, and the power of the Quetzalcoatl will be given to the Thralls through dark radiation.
Also, thank you, Astounding, for letting me and Potato Zuli room with you and Alana. It was very nice of you. Then I helped Astounding shoot a movie, putting that film production degree to work. So then we turned on the dedicated in-house kaiju channel, and a Kamen Rider vs. Super Sentai movie was on, but the entire picture was zoomed in and black and white. The subtitles were also cropped out, and there was a loud buzzing whenever they showed a Red Ranger. That's how we figured that out. It only buzzed when the color red was on screen, but we didn't really see the color red because it was in black and white. What the fuck happened here? Instead of seeing Godzilla vs. Kong at the Pickwick, I stayed in the hotel room, 1 because I had 1 hour of sleep, and 2 because Kyodai Kino came over and we watched a 35mm scan of Gorgo, and I subjected them to 10 minutes of Dragon Lizard Lord Super Monsters. Thank you for stomaching that.
Oh.
Now, I wasn't there for Godzilla vs. Kong, but there were allegedly weird people cheering whenever Millie Bobby Brown showed up. You know, if they were actually being like this, then it's fucking gross. She was a minor when they shot that movie, guys. Like, Jesus fuck. I woke up and had an egg and cheese croissant for breakfast. It was actually pretty delicious, but charging $10 for such a tiny meal is highway robbery, but such is the con experience. The in-house kaiju channel is still stuck in scary black and white mode, meaning Hanuman now looks even creepier. Then I went down and watched a little bit of Gamera vs. Gauss. It was the original AIP dub, and brother, it was... that dub is really fun. At 10 a.m. I went to the Terror of Mechagodzilla panel. Pretty fun. I didn't know the Disney Channel played Godzilla movies at one point. Okay, this was the only, really weird part of it. For some reason, people clapped when the panelists brought up Teruyoshi Nakano died, and it was very weird. I get that it was, to celebrate him and his stellar work in the movie, but woof, that was awkward. Y'all are too eager to cheer about anything. Then I took a second trip to the vendor's room and got some more merch. After that, I attended the Tomoko Ai interview. I wrote down a couple notes. After filming an episode of Ultraman Leo, yeah, she was part of that for a little bit, she remembers running to her audition for Terror of Mechagodzilla. Filming on Terror of Mechagodzilla might have taken a month. She does not recall perfectly. That's understandable, it's been 40 years. A bit of direction she was given from Ishiro Honda was to absolutely never smile. It was challenging because she was in a romantic relationship, but it makes sense because she was also a cyborg. She was closer with the cast of Ultraman Leo than she was with the cast of Terror of Mechagodzilla, with the exception of Akihiko Hirata, who apparently looked out for her. But yeah, that was a fun interview. She seems like a humbled person. Next, I went to the Unmade kaiju movie panel, as in unfinished kaiju movies that still have trailers, or some other kind of artifact. There were unfortunately some technical issues, so the actual trailers at this trailer showcase panel could not be played, which is disappointing, but shit happens. I don't hold it against the panelist, who otherwise did a great job. I recognize him from previous years, he's a mainstay at this convention. At least the trailers are mostly available on YouTube. The most interesting unmade or unreleased movies were, in my opinion, Marlin Man, The Leviathan, Monster Roll, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 pilot because it featured a riff on the green slime, the illegitimate Chayo Ultraman show that allegedly has 13 episodes produced, the live-action American adaptation of Patlabor, the American Guy King remake that would have led to a Shogun Warriors cinematic universe, and the American adaptation of Lion Maru, which was produced by Akira Tsuburaya, and he makes a lot of cheap shit, so that could have been really interesting. A weird tidbit that I learned from this panel is that allegedly the 2015 Ultraman teaser, the one where he has those creepy muscles, was done for an AR game. I've been wondering what that was for years, and this isn't a definitive statement, but it's the closest thing we have to an answer. Then I played a couple games in the arcade, and met up with a follower on Twitter. They were friendly. It was a good encounter. Then I met another follower on Twitter, and they asked me to sign their Zeton figure. That was very humbling. Thank you. I returned to my room to find a very strange dub of Ultraman Saga playing. The audio was out of sync, and if anyone knows the language, let me know. I suspect it might be Malaysian? So we ordered Popeyes because we were sick of eating overpriced convention food. Then I went to the costume parade, and I'm gonna be real, it sucked this year. Not because of the costumes themselves, there were some really good ones here, but there was no line to see the costumes before they come out. We get 20 seconds to look at them as they come out of the big room, and only 1 or 2 come out at a time. And they come out in an interval of 2 or 5 minutes. See, in previous years, there was a long line that led from the costume room to the main hall where they did the big reveals of the costumes. And this setup was great because I could just walk by the costumes, take the pictures I want, and they'd pose for it because, they were still getting the attention from it. In fact, they were getting more attention from it than this new friggin' setup. People like me, who just want to get a picture and go back to their rooms because they're tired, don't get that chance. Not only that, but everyone's crowded around, so you can't see them. It was disappointing. I hope they learn from this next year. Is that fucking Come With Me?
I think it is.
After that, we left for the showing of Terror of Mechagodzilla at the Pickwick Theater. Bigger than I remember. One of my favorite Godzilla movies, and I couldn't wait to see it on the big screen. It was a potential highlight of the trip. Yeah, the cheering was excessive, but I really loved seeing this movie on the big screen. Godzilla movies were made to be seen in this visual presentation, maybe without the guy who sat behind my friend and I, who added his own monster commentary. Please do not do this, by the way. you're not funny. But I really do love this movie enough to not let that get in the way. I won't get too into the movie because I also want to save it for a potential video, but the silly monster antics and science fiction elements being at odds with the darker tone makes for an uneven but extremely entertaining movie, with moments of genuinely great filmmaking. The third and final day of G-Fest, and the movie channel still looks and sounds like security camera footage from another dimension. I started with a breakfast consisting of 2 bagels and a fruit cup. It was only $9, so again, don't eat those fucking awful $10 burgers. I went to the fan tribute to Akira Takarada panel next. Here a group of panelists recall moments they interacted with the late actor. It was surprisingly sincere and reverent in an inoffensive way. And yeah, what the panelists say is true. He gave time to give everyone he interacted with a story. You see, before I took a picture with him in 2019's G-Fest, he was supposed to be headed into the Pickwick, but he still wanted to give me the opportunity for a photo. I'll always remember that. Rest in peace, King. I visited the artist painting room for the first time. A lot of cute and cool art here. I especially like this manda, it's really nice. This giant Godzilla and Kong, made up of posters of their movies, are pretty cool. I didn't stick around for the entirety of the Godzilla vs. Kong panel. Quite frankly, I just wanted to play video games and I'm fucking sick of the discourse about this movie. But one of the panelists was a shirtless guy. He was introduced as, quote, the guy with the hair. I asked Potato Zuli to write down some notes while he was there, and this is what he's got. You can pause to read them if you feel so inclined. I went to the Epic Gamer Room again, played this weird Godzilla-like game called Giant Monster Counterattack. The Godzilla 98 pinball machine was out of order. Gigabash is pretty fun. I played the public demo when that was a thing. I'll probably get it when it comes out this August. Dawn of the Monsters was also heavily featured here, and I'm interested in that too. I know it's already out, and I think I might pick it up. I did some exploring and found this eerie dark room called the Quiet Room. It was a little unsettling. Then I made my final descent into the dealer's room and came out with this wonderful selection. At this point, I was pretty burned out, but there were still a couple panels I wanted to go to. To pass the time, I checked out some short movies in the film festival room. Now, because some of these short films were premiering at G-Fest, I won't use full motion footage from them because I know for a fact that some film festivals are stingy about their entrants appearing online, so I'll just use screenshots to illustrate my points here. I don't want to ruin any of their chances. The first one was The Great Actress Reiko Ayuni, and it was a funny little riff on the trials and tribulations of low-budget filmmaking. It was pretty great. It's just a nice feel-good movie. Next up was a film called Kaiju Girl. It was pretty low-key. There weren't too many special effects sequences in this one. It's generally well shot, and the story was nice. It ends somewhat abruptly, but I like it for what it is. Next was Great Beast Barigular. The acting was kinda weak, and the ADR is super noticeable, but the suitmation and miniatures are great for an indie film like this. The scene at the end of the short is really well shot. They nailed the look here. If these indie films aren't already online, I can't wait for them to be. After that, I helped record Astounding Beyond Belief's panel. It should be up online before this video. I'll link it when it's done. And after that, I stuck around a little bit for the YouTubers panel, and then Potato Zuli and I left. On our way, Potato Zuli helped pass the time by telling me the lore of Homestuck, and I don't know, I'm actually kind of interested in reading it now.
You couldn't.
Is the scratch in question supposed to be like a play on a video game disc getting scratched?
Yes.
Okay.
In the case of their session, there is a big disc on Dave's planet, and they have to get a big needle and literally scratch it.
Then I got home, and I started recording. This was my final haul from the dealer's room, by the way. I'm pretty content with what I bought from the dealer's room. I think I'm going to review some of these movies, actually. So yeah, what's my final verdict on this year's G-Fest? It was pretty fun. It had its issues regarding how it was overall designed, but I think it was handled well for the most part. It had the usual rowdy guests, and the fact that they cut out the artist room but kept the bootleg dealer was incredibly sus. But I really enjoy meeting people I know online here. That's one of the best parts of going to a fan convention. And of course, meeting my fans was incredibly surreal because like I wasn't expecting to get big enough to like have that happen. I hope this channel grows enough in the next year to have another series of encounters like that. I want to give a shout out to Astounding Beyond Belief for helping with room accommodations. Both you and Alana were very pleasant and respectful roommates. I think a deciding factor on whether I'll go to G-Fest next year is if Boom Age is available, because him not being here was really a blow to morale. And a very special thank you to my patrons. The Patreon money did not go towards G-Fest. I plan on using it for video equipment, but thank you for supporting me in my video efforts nonetheless. My $5 patrons are It's Godzi, Big Odilo, an actual Dimetrodon, Space Hunter M, CMG, Red Comet Harry, and Marpzilla. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.